evening to all of you, and welcome to the Inlaks Fine Art Awards ceremony for 2025. In our newsletter last year, our chairperson, Mr. Azad Shivdasani, quoted Michelangelo, who said, "I saw an angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." Perhaps that's what the foundation is about, allowing what's there to come out. In enabling and allowing what's there to come out, 1,300 young and talented Indians have been supported since 1976 by the Foundation across the 20-plus opportunities that we offer each year, including scholarships, fellowships, awards, grants, internships, residencies, and more, given in fields such as the humanities, sciences, social engagement, conservation, and the arts. Our flagship opportunity remains the scholarship, which was initiated in 1976 and has to date supported 500 young Indians to study in leading universities across the United Kingdom, Europe, and the USA. Coming now to the arts opportunity at the Foundation, it was in 1982 that the first scholarship to study the arts was given to Rekha Rodbitia, and since then we've had over 50 scholars go overseas to pursue the arts. Over the years, there was a need felt to support the individual in the arts. In response to this, the Inlaks Fine Art Award was initiated in 2004 and has to date supported over 100 young artists. Apart from the scholarship and the Fine Art Award program, our residency program enables Indian artists to work for varying periods of time at international institutions like Gasworks and the Delphina Foundation in London, Nirox Foundation in South Africa, Pistoletto Foundation in Italy, Rijks Academy in Amsterdam, ISCP and Skowhegan in USA. The residency program has also been conducted in India at institutions like the Camp, Urvar and Studio On, What About Art, Kona and Space 118 in Mumbai, One Shanti Road in Bangalore, TIFA in Pune and Khoj in Delhi. In all, over 400 young artists have been enabled to explore their potential and develop their practice. Our Flourishing Arts program has been inspired and shaped by the vision of our chairperson. He says, and I quote, "In the fabric of modern-day Indian democracy, one of the most important threads is freedom of expression. Our artistic community, including writers and poets, are the keepers of the flame of this vital freedom, and they make sure it burns bright and dances in myriad ways across our land. This is why the Foundation considers our artists to be amongst our living national treasures." The Fine Art Awards, around which this evening has been organized, is recognized as one of the most coveted awards for emerging artists in the country. The award is usually presented to 5 young artists each year, all recent university graduates. They are supported financially for a year and are required to attend a month-long artist residency in India. This year's artists have been chosen by a distinguished jury comprising Sheila Gowda, Sanchayan Ghosh, Sehaj Rahal, and Amita Malkani. We cannot thank them enough for spending long hours to identify the awardees through a rigorous selection process, and hence we express our eternal gratitude to them. We're thrilled to begin this evening with a showcase of a short excerpt from a project by Shaheen Ahmed, our Inlaks Asia Art Archive grantee for 2024. Titled A Sea All Waves, the project is a hybrid feature film he is currently developing. To share more about the grant and specifically talk about Shaheen's work, I would like to invite Sneha Raghavan, Head of Asia Art Archive in India and Senior Researcher. Sneha, can we have you on stage?
Yeah. Thank you, Priyanka. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sneha Raghavan, Senior Researcher and Head of Asia Art Archive in India, based in New Delhi. For those of you who may not know much about Asia Art Archive, so Asia Art Archive in India is a satellite hub of Asia Art Archive in Hong Kong, which was founded in the year 2000 with the aim of facilitating new areas of research inquiry on modern and contemporary art histories of the region. And one of the core ways that we go about doing this is through digitizing artist and scholarly archives. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce the art grant that is offered by the Inlaks Foundation in collaboration with Asia Art Archive and our grantee showcase this evening. Offered annually since 2017-18, the Inlaks Asian Archive Art Grant encourages artists to propose methods of art making that incorporate research, collaboration, workshops, and formal experiments to explore the imaginations, architectures, sensoria, and interfaces of the archive. What shall we do with the archive, which is the prompt for this grant, stems from an outburst of interest in archives and archiving within the region that I'm sure we've all noticed over the last 2 decades. And this is coming from various communities, fields, and practices, particularly those that have been written out of major histories and narratives. And this has often taken the form of piecing together new archives and finding innovative ways of documenting, annotating, and interpreting archival materials. And in our experience, nobody quite critically and creatively pushes the limits of archival thinking better than artists. With that, for today's showcase, I introduce the recipient of the Inlaks Asian Archive Art Grant in 23-24, Shaheen Ahmed. Shaheen, who is joining us today from Athens in Greece, where he's on a residency, is a researcher and filmmaker from the Malabar coast of Kerala. Through his ongoing practice, he explores themes of memory and identity, particularly focusing on the intersection of Islamic mysticism and collective spiritual imaginations within these contexts. For the grant, Shaheen's project explored aspects of the Sufi cosmos and spiritual imagination within the collective memory of the Lakshadweep Islands, rendered through a hybrid feature film. Shaheen will briefly introduce the film that has emerged as an outcome of this research project, after which we will screen a short excerpt of it. Over to you, Shaheen.
Thank you, Sneha and Priyanka. First of all, congratulations to all the Inlaks Fine Art Awardees. I couldn't join the event in person, but I am happy to be part of it somehow and share a few things about my project that I've been working on. As Neha mentioned, I have been working on this project in Lakshadweep Islands for the last 1 year with the support of Asia Art Archive Inlaks Art Grant. The idea of the project was to render the research and fieldwork on the Sufi traditions of Lakshadweep Islands into a hybrid feature film. For this, I have been conducting audiovisual fieldworks and been collaborating with writers and artists to create a film that combines documentary material and scripted fictional sequences, which are inspired from the island folklore and other traditional narratives from the region. First of all, I wanted to show you a short excerpt from the film that is being developed, and then I can come back to you and tell you briefly about the process and my experiences during the project. Can we show the film now?
ഫിനിഷുമുള്ള ഓമന പൂവേ ഇതിനു മുന്നേ എഴുതിയ കത്ത് നിക്ക് കിട്ടുവാൻ മുന്നേ നാം പിന്നെയും എഴുതേണ്ടതാണ്ടോ? വലിയ ശീലാണിയൊക്കെ കടൽക്കാറ്റ് വന്ന് തലോടേരം നാ ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോവാൻ. അപ്പം ഇല്ല നാ ഒരു കിനാവ് കണ്ട് 7 കടൽ പൊട്ടുണ്ടേനാ മേലുള്ള ഒരു ചുമന്ന നല്ല മൊഞ്ചുള്ള ഒരാമ ഏറി വന്നിന്. ആമയേക്കാൾ നന്നെ തന്നെ നോക്കണ്ടേ. എന്തോ ഒരു കൽപ്പന കൽപ്പിക്കേണ്ട പോലെ. റങ്ങണ്ട എന്നെ പിടിച്ച് വലിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പോയി കടലേക്ക് കളിച്ച് മലത്തി കിടത്തിന്. കടൽ നനഞ്ഞ് പുറം കടലിലേക്ക് ഒഴുകേണ്ടേരം കുപ്പായ കീശയ്ക്ക് വെളുത്തമൺ നിറഞ്ഞിന്. കീശയ്ക്ക് കനം കൂടേണ്ടേരം ശ്വാസം മുട്ടിയ പോലെ. ഫൂവേ നിന്നാ മണത്താ ബേർപ്പ് നിപ്പം ഫോണ്ട പോലെ.
മദീനയുടെ മണൽപ്പരപ്പിൽ മാലോകരുടെ മാനസാന്തരത്തിലേക്ക് മാനവീക വിപ്ലവത്തെ ചാർത്തിക്കൊടുത്ത ലോകത്തിന്റെ തിരുദൂതരായ അഷ്റഫുൽ ഖൽഖ് നബിയുനാ മുഹമ്മദുർ റസൂലുള്ളാഹി സ്വല്ലല്ലാഹു അലൈഹി വസല്ലമ തങ്ങളോടുള്ള അനുരാഗത്തിന്റെ അലമാലകൾ തീർത്തുകൊണ്ട് മുത്തുനബിയോടുള്ള ഇഷ്കിന്റെ പൊൻവസന്തം വിളിച്ചുണർത്തി
Allah هذه هدية واصلة ورحمة نازلة وبركة شاملة مقبولة مرضية منا إلى حضرة روح نبينا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومنجينا مصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم آته الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وبعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
കുടിത്തറേ എവിടെയൊക്കെ നീ ഏ കുടിത്തറേ പിന്നെ ഓമനപ്പനെ കൊണ്ടു ആലുരാജാവില്ലേ ചെറിയവാ എത്ര വട്ടം ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവില്ല ഇല്ലേ കുടിത്തറവേ കാനത്ത് കാമിലത്ത് മണികൾക്ക് കാനത്ത് കാമിലത്ത് ആഹത്തി ബാഹത്തി ജംഹത്തി താളക്കൂട്ടൊരുക്കും ആഹത്തി
Shaheen, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you. So, excerpt from the film that is being developed as a result of the research in Lakshadweep Islands. Can we have the slides, please? Okay. So the core idea behind this project is to explore the aspects of Sufi sensoria and spiritual imagination embedded within the collective memory of Lakshadweep Islands. For this, I've been studying and recording oral traditions, Sufi rituals, performative practices, dreams and visions, etc. The project works in collaboration with writers, artists, researchers, and other like personal collections from the region. Firstly, can we go to the next one, Donita, please? The next slide, please. Yeah. So I wanted to bring these two names before starting to talk about the process. Ismat Hussain and K. Bahir, very prominent writers from Lakshadweep. Without the support, this project wouldn't have taken shape. And it is with Ismat, who's also like a novelist. It is with Ismat that I am currently writing the fictional sequences based on my practices in the region for the last 1 year. The next slide, please. So during my field trips in Lakshadweep, I began filming the Sufi rituals across different islands, especially the Rifai Ratib, which take places every Monday and Friday nights. I also record different performative practices like Malapattu and Dolipattu, which extends from the Sufi traditions and manuscripts written in Arabic Malayalam script, which you can see on the screen on the top on the green one. Can we go to the next one, please? Yeah, this is like a private performance of Dolly Parton that's happening in a house, and then that's Madhurapu teacher who is performing an already extinct folk tradition called Katuvili Patta. And we can go to the next one, Danita, please. Another important field work that I was working on was collecting dreams from the islanders along with Ismat. We collected very interesting dreams and visions that islanders would have in their regular normal life, which is not essentially connected to their Sufi experiences, but also like in general what their normal dreams are. And these dreams, together with the regional folklore, became the support or the backbone of the fictional sequences of the film that I'm currently making. And then the in excerpt that you saw, it's also like inspired from some of the dreams that some of the islanders shared, and then the story is also from the some of the folklores that we have been collecting in the islands. We can go to the next one. And in September 2024, last year, during the Nabi Dinam celebration, that is the Prophet's birthday, Milad Nabi celebration, which lasts 12 days in Lakshadweep. Typically, it's like in other places, it's just 1 day celebration, but like in Lakshadweep, it's the whole 12 days of massive celebration in the entire islands. So I was filming events that was happening particularly on the Kiltan Island. And while filming the events that was happening during the Nabi Dinam celebrations, I was also filming parallelly some fictional sequences, which I wrote together with Ismat. And these fictional sequences were filmed with the help of some incredible artists from Kiltan, like Akruti, Shafiq, Jiyat, PV Salim, Ashfaq, and Yasser. With the help of them, I could create this excerpt that you just watched. And I plan to continue work on the film in the coming year and even this year, depending on how fast I can find the resource to do the production of the film. But I'm currently writing the script based on the research from the last year. You can go to the next one. Yeah, these are some images from the during September while I was filming the excerpt. We can go to the next one, the last one. Yeah, and if anyone is like interested in following the developments of the project that I've been doing, you can find it on Instagram in the name of Misrav and on SoundCloud. Misrav is a word in Jasiri in the island terminology, where they typically use for to mention direction, but also it's like it works like a spiritual compass when they in their daily vocabulary. Yeah, I think that's more or less in brief about the project. And if I'm very eager, if you have some feedback or if you want to know something else about the project, or yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shaheen. We have about 5 minutes for Q&A, so in case anybody from the audience has any questions for Shaheen about his project, please feel free to ask. I thought maybe I'd kickstart this conversation with a question, Shaheen, that struck me when I first saw the excerpt as well of the film, which is that, I mean, typically mysticism, spiritualism, dreams, all of these are understood as belonging to the domain of the sensorial, the affective, whereas the archive is often understood as belonging to the rational, the intelligible sort of order. So could you maybe share a little bit about why you wanted to think with the idea of the archive for this project, or how you were doing that?
Yeah, for me, when I began the research around the Sufi traditions of Lakshadweep, what brought me closer to it was the sensorial experience that these traditions possess. Especially, I'm from the Malabar coast, and we have a lot of cultural and Sufi tradition that is in exchange happening. And I realized that it is almost impossible to picture these, or to almost impossible to retell these traditions through the conventional understanding of archives. So I was wondering how I can approach this world of Sufi mystical experience sensorially rather than the materiality of those traditions. And I tried to study these traditions through the conceptual framework of the Sufi mystic, Andalusian Sufi mystic Ibn Arabi. And there's a concept that he often comes back to in his text, which is called khayal, which can also be said as spiritual imagination that exists in fluid space that is in between reality and fantasy. So these ideas led me to plan a hybrid film that would blend the documentary images and sounds along with imagined sequences, which is inspired from the field work that I've been doing in the islands. And I think this experience of the film would work as a different archival experience for the viewers that would inform and bring curiosity in viewers about the Sufi traditions of Lakshadweep. I hope I answered you, Sneha.
Thanks. Any questions from any of the audience?
Why Lakshadweep?
Shaheen, a question from the audience. Why Lakshadweep?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the question was just that, Shaheen. Why Lakshadweep? Why Lakshadweep?
Why Lakshadweep? Oh, that's the question. Okay. So Lakshadweep, I'm from Malabar and I'm from Calicut, and all this while I was thinking about Lakshadweep because I have some nice connection in Lakshadweep, and I really like the stories that comes from Lakshadweep when I was a child, and there's a lot of fascination for the stories and traditions that comes from Lakshadweep for me personally. And for me personally, I come from a different background, as to say that I'm from a different Islamic tradition than the Sufi traditions, and I found my own Islamic practices. There's a kind of a profound lack of imagination in my practices, so I kind of followed the other way, and I reached Lakshadweep, and I really liked what I found there. And the more I studied about it, it was super interesting for me that how closely connected it is to the Sufi traditions of Malabar. So I was like, okay, I should cross the sea and see what's there, and then that's how it happened in Lakshadweep.
There's one more question.
Hi, Shaheen. We're actually on Calicut Street here in Bombay. And as island cities go, this city also has a deep connection with Sufism. There's a fascinating book called Bombay Islam by Nile Green that looks at the Indian Ocean that island cities in this particularly Bombay had with Sufi saints. You mentioned Ibn Arabi, the Andalusian traveler, as resource. I'm wondering if you've looked at graves of Tarim. This is by a Malaysian historian called Eng Ho, who looks at the genealogy of Sufi saints along the Indian Ocean rim, all the way from the Hadra, and then very beautifully traces the genealogies through the dargahs and graves of Sufi saints all over. It's a fascinating book. So do check it out. I had a couple of questions. Sorry, that was more a long comment. What particular islands are you looking at in Lakshadweep? And while I get Sneha and question to you, which is the dreams and the oral traditions are ephemeral. You are choosing to archive them, and you said you are by way of the hybrid film, but I'm hoping the processes and the deep documentation you're doing can find a home other than Instagram and SoundCloud. So just because that to give care to that process, I think is quite important.
Thank you. So the first question. So currently, I have been working in the in 4 islands mainly, which is the Amini Island, Kadamam Island, Kiltan, and Chetlat. I want to extend it to the other islands like Androt, Agati, the Kavaratti, and others. But I couldn't reach everywhere because of some logistical problems that was facing during monsoon and other seasons. So like I was largely focused in Kiltan mainly, and the film that you saw is shot in Kiltan, and except of me, everyone else who worked on the film is from Kiltan. And the second question about the material that is beyond the hybrid film. Yeah, it's actually very important for me also to think, because I really understand this is not enough to do with Instagram and SoundCloud. So I've been talking to Ismat Hussain, who is the collaborator. They also have a collective called Lakshadweep Sahitya Pravartaka Sangam, which is like a literary society in Lakshadweep. And we've been talking to set up a digital archive of the material that I've been collecting over time. And yeah, I would really happy to set up something that would help the other researchers and other artists who are focused in Lakshadweep. And in general, I wanted to make it like an open archive where everyone could contribute and to be useful for everyone that is who are focused on Lakshadweep.
Thank you so much, Shaheen. And and that concludes the showcase for this evening. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Shaheen, for sharing both your work and the journey that you've undertaken to create it. We wish you the best and look forward to the full version of the film. Thank you, Sneha, for those interesting questions, and to Shaina and to the other gentlemen for your question as well. So now to begin the award ceremony, may I request Sehaj Rahal to introduce the first 2 Inlaks Fine Art Awardees who will take you through a presentation of their practice.
Thank you so much for joining us, and it's been an absolute honor to be part of the jury with Amita ma'am, Sachayan and Sheila, who will be with us today. And congratulations to all the I don't want to call you winners, there's a reason for that. Very quickly, this is my second year in the jury, and the first one, someone from the art scene pointed out that the artists that we selected would not fit easily into the sort of structures and systems of gallery spaces, right? And I was like, yes, this is what I want. I want the voices that we are bringing on board to unsettle the sort of institutions. And here we have some very intense contenders, right? Okay, with just that, I'd like to invite Akartha, if you would join us and introduce your practice. Can I just say a few words about about your work, if that's fine, or would you like to take it on board? Right. Okay. So When did you join me? So Akartha works with dust, you know, and that is what's terrifying about his work. It's the dust that you waded through getting here. Yeah, it's in your lungs, and he creates magic with it. I'm going to hand it over to him now.
Thanks. Thank you everyone. Um, this stage feels so big, my knees are shaking. Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Akartha Haldar. I was born in Cooper's Camp, West Bengal, and I'm currently working from Delhi. Firstly, I want to thank the Inlaks team and all the jury for giving me this award. It means a lot to me, and I want to share the credit with some of the people who have supported me to reach this point. I would like to thank them under 150 words. Thank you all the teachers from Kalahavan and especially Sanchanda. You are the teacher who inspired me the most during my student life, even still do, and helped me find out my own path. In a way, you taught us how to work. Thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. A special thanks to Samina Shaman ma'am, who supported and guided me during a time when I needed it the most. I am deeply grateful for her. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank also Jivesh Baksida. A few conversations with him helped me uncover an important aspect of my work. I am grateful for that. And lastly, I am thankful for all my friends and fellow art practitioners who supported and motivated me in various ways, helping me move forward in my journey. Thank you all. Now I will share a little about my work. I think my work is simple, also generate critical conversations. My art practice adopts multidisciplinary approach, assembling narratives and forms that explore socio-political absence and disappearances. The process of erasing is a fundamental characteristic in my works, and materialistic perishability also plays a significant role. My work raises questions about our materialistic culture, preservation and impermanence, highlighting the transient nature of human existence and the fragile nature of our creation. Well, I had a short video presentation that I share with you. Thank you. Please.
My art practice adopt a multidisciplinary approach, assembling narratives and forms that explore social political absence and disappearances. Through materials, processes, and the interplay of presence and absence, I develop site-specific works, ephemeral installations, experimental paintings, and intervention of printed photographs. Those creations aim to spark critical dialogue about material culture, impermanence, and the transient nature of human existence and the fragile nature of our creations. The process of erasing is a fundamental characteristic in my practice, and materialistic perishability also plays a significant role. Here, erasing not only become an underlying gesture of political and social commentary, also an open dialogue on our manipulative nature and power dynamics. Also, I draw profound inspiration from Cooper's Camp, West Bengal, my birthplace. Established as a refugee camp during the 1947 partition of India. Before that, the place belongs to the British colony, where British soldiers lived. My grandfather also came during that time, and my father born there. Shared stories of migration, lost, and resilience that shaped my understanding of displacement, disappearance, and the forgotten and lost. Through my work, I highlight the stories of those ignored, disappeared, and forgotten communities and people, exploring themes of identity, absence, and transformation and shifts. This project took place in a 61-year-old house in Delhi, owned by a Punjabi family displaced from Pakistan during the partition. For me, the house resembled an archaeological site of memory and displacement. By peeling layers of paint, I uncovered histories embedded within the walls marked by seepage and decay. Discarded objects were projected onto those surfaces, revealing traces of presence and absence. The act of feeling highlighted the transitory relationship, memory, detachment, and their presence and absence within this architecture. The work raises broader question about urban development and the preservation of cultural heritage. This work explores cycle of migration, memory, and erasure through a ritual of returning home. I allowed it to settle on paper, using accumulated dust as a metaphor of time and absence, and imprinted my body on it during each return home, and documented traces of my presence. This process evoked themes of belonging, detachment, and the fading nature of memory as the mark of existence dissolved into impermanence. This performative work explores the fragility of power. The word power, embedded in red pigment in an ice block, slowly melts as I hold it, symbolize how power fades over time. The physical pain of holding the ice reflects the struggle to maintain control, while the melting ice represents the impermanence of authority, ultimately disappearing. Through this, the work highlights the transit nature of power, politics, and their inevitable decay.
The second awardee is Biswajit, and I've been told that in the interest of time, I'm going to do a very quick introduction. So Biswajit's practice is absolutely terrifying as well, because he raises these specters from beyond the lines that we draw on these maps. You know, the places that we call home, our land, our place. You know, so when you kind of like peer into these sort of voids that lie beyond those lines that we draw on those maps, that's where Biswajit is drawing these specters out from, and it is absolutely terrifying. I hope you continue to scare me. Right, thanks. All yours. Do you want to showcase your film? Yes. Okay. Shall we play Biswajit?
This is not just about land or the tall grass, it's about the stories hidden beneath. Stories erased, fragmented, multi-layered, and left unresolved. My practice explores these silences, the weight they carry, and how they shape our understanding of the past and the present. I began by examining Assam's political history through archives, discovering how institutional archives differ and how power controls representation through visuals, often erasing certain narratives. These archives reflect the authority of those in power, shaping what is visible and what is concealed. The mask becomes a tool of resistance, symbolizing not only what has been erased, but also what resists erasure. Through these years, I have encountered stories of survival, of resilience, and of silent endurance. These are stories carried in gestures, in oral recollections, and in the everyday life of people who navigate the aftermath of violence. Their memories remain fragmented, often shared in whispers, yet they carry the weight of unspoken truth. Despite this, many of these voices are lost to the passage of time, overshadowed by dominant narratives. From the registered to the unregistered, I find fiction on the landscape. The landscape becomes a silent witness to these acts of omission, with traces of people and stories lingering in their absence.
Okay, may I request Amita to come and introduce the next two awardees?
I'm delighted to introduce Ritika Sharma. Ritika, can you come up here? And maybe she can talk to you about her work. Ritika is from Delhi, and during the interview it was fascinating going through her journey with her. It was a lot of the personal, as is in everyone's work, but the way she put it across was very moving, very inspiring. Maybe she just say a few words and then see your film.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Amita ma'am. I'll be sharing the videos of my work and you will probably get a brief idea about what do I do and what is my practice about.
This train is under CCTV surveillance.
Hi, I am Ritika and I'm an artist based in Delhi NCR. Living on the outskirts of the city, traveling and navigating in and out of public spaces has inevitably been a part of my day to day life. This has been a complex arrangement of everyday occurrences that induces a sense of discomfort in many instances, but also includes trivial moments of care. These experiences have allowed me to be an observer in transit and eventually realize the personal as political. I think of every day as both routine and ambiguous, which furthers my concern to decode the construction of the banal and the extraordinary essence of the ordinary. This, in particular, is contemplated through utilitarian safety warnings, stock phrases, directional phrases, and sign and symbols in my practice. Like in the project Mind the Gap, an often overlooked object, choir doormats are laid like a walking path, eventually bringing the attention of the viewer towards the everyday act of walking as a conscious or unconscious practice of wiping one's shoe on a doormat. Although stock phrases are designed for the public, they metaphorically delve into interconvertible public versus private spaces in my recent project Draw a line. This project is derived from my personal experiences as well as experiences that are common to many. It is coming from the fear that we have to deal on day-to-day basis, whether we are traveling somewhere out or maybe even in our familiar spaces. For this project, I have been making some paintings, and along with it there are some other explorations which includes artist book. The book is titled as a pocket glossary before you draw the line, and it includes letters from A to Z with interpretations and how I'm seeing these letters and their associated words as important meaning in the project. It also has some drawings related with the work, and these drawings are sometimes taken reference from real incidents. The project Draw a Line also includes a series of paintings which is titled as Close to Identify, yet another stock phrase which is broadly used in maybe in law or in articles or reporting of a crime. It also refers to this ambiguity of recognizing somebody of committing a crime or not, and sometimes it is just a usual arrangement of elements that might find that we might find a little fishy. The project extends towards public engagement and interaction with the sarcastically designed takeaway product, the fundamental Lakshman Rekha, for drawing the line. The product implies the situation of being self-reliable despite hoping for a truly egalitarian society. I would like to close with a few lines from George Perec that also resonate to the core of my practice and concerns. He says, "What is really happening? What we are living, the rest, all the rest, where is it? What happens every day and comes back every day? The banal, the quotidian, the obvious, the common, the ordinary, the background noise, the habitual. How to notice it, how to interrogate it, how to describe it."
Everyone's finished with their presentations, then I think Priyanka will open up the floor to questions and answers if anyone wants to ask any of the artists. So now we have, it's my pleasure to introduce Swapna Haldar. Swapna, do you want to talk about your work? Swapna now works in community, taking her work to a community.
I have made a small presentation about my work, so can you just read it? Then if anyone have any question, I can answer.
My art practice is more nomadic and gradually evolving, and changing its shape through the understanding of my surrounding. I see art as a healing tool, a beacon of hope in an ever evolving world. I am a multidisciplinary visual art practitioner hailing from West Bengal. I weave narratives across mediums like drawing, painting, film, stop motion, photography, sound recording, etc. My upbringing in a lower middle class family, growing up seeing my mother and women in my surrounding doing daily struggle for their existence, observing the struggle of womanhood very closely, it has shaped me as vulnerable and strong at the same time, which impacted me in my image making in a strong way. Primarily, my practice was more individualistic, where I employ non-linear narratives to evoke emotions through fragments of personal memories. But later on, I felt an urge to take my practice in a transformative way, where I feel my art can become a voice to speak the unseen truth of women who shares the same stories as my mother, who have buried their dreams long back. So, in my recent body of work, I immersed my individualistic practice in a more collective way. During my residency in Hampi, I came across a community of women who weaves fabrics. Talking to them, I felt the same emotion. In marginalized community, there are so many people, especially girls, who had dreams and aspirations when they were little, which remains only as dreams. They don't have the privilege to fulfill their dreams. Talking about those dreams which were washed away, talking about their life, future hopes, and creating a space together through visuals for hope and resilience. Collecting weave discarded fabrics and discarded saris from them to make a space where their dreams can breathe forever. Through their stitches, stitching as a tool becomes a way of self expression to tell their stories. The tactile quality of the discarded fabric changes its form. It becomes alive again to speak their stories through this work. Talking to them, knowing their stories, I feel my suffering doesn't isolate me. It becomes a bridge which can bring hopefully a little light into that suffering. Parallelly, working with this collective approach of looking at art, I made a film which is more about non-linear collective narrative of their stories where documentary and fiction merges together. Talking about how my practice has changed its shape has its roots in Shantiniketan. During my masters, Shantiniketan's rural expanse whispered a different truth to me. Observing a land as a living thing due to rapid urbanization changing its shape made me think about it. Burning grasslands, unseen death of tiny creatures, a scorched tree all evoked a sense of sorrow in me. Questioning the corporeality and presence, the body as well as environment, which affects the inner consciousness. My artworks evoke from that emotion, raised voices as silent protest through my image making. I started working with found materials from different spaces of the land, found objects, natural pigments, etc. I allowed my work to find new possibilities of materials, and it involves experiments. Each of the threads, plant roots, animal skin, bird wings, they represent materialistic vulnerability, which has a fragile identity. Working with these environmental issues in Shantiniketan, I observed that ecological awareness needs micro level engagement. I want to explore it more in a positive way where my artistic practice as image making with personal fiction will take shape of a collective fiction of the land. Knowing the land, its changing form through the vision of the people living in it.
Questions in the end. May I request Professor Ghosh to come and introduce the fifth awardee for the evening?
Thank you, Priyanka. So, although it's the last name in the list, but it's not that way the last person. I think one of the more, very important practitioner of this group, Vanshika Babbar. May I request her? She is a fantastic painter, but also a multidisciplinary artist who delves in different forms of, again, engaging with the personal and the familiar. So I will request you to share your practice.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction, and thank you all for coming today, and a big thank you to the Inlaks Foundation and
the jury members for this award. So yeah, so I'll just take over.
I'm a multidisciplinary artist working across mediums like painting, video and AR installations, zines to name a few. There are a lot of stray thoughts, popular references, citations, memories that I try to assimilate into one single image or moment. I had a habit since childhood of being overly sensitive towards the minute details of communication amongst people. Voluntary and involuntary facial expressions, rhetorical strategies, the multiple acts, performances, operations of power in interpersonal relationships. But what started off as perhaps an unhealthy, autistic overinvestment in reading each gesture as a sign of something else, slowly turned into a deep interest in portraiture or faciality. My paintings can also be seen as caricatures which try to uncover from within the notional regularities of the face, traces of impending biases and certain disavowed truths, and my overinvestment in the textures of flesh has some relation to my interest in disavowal. All of my works across mediums, at least at some level, try to grapple with the question of what it means to be complicit. The medium of gouache or poster paint especially helps me in that pursuit, given its scratchy quality or the unease with which the paint sits on the paper. It is almost as if I want the viewer to be able to feel the ick that the plastery poster paint produces under my fingernails. It is more than mere discomfort or just a physiological compulsion to itch. I want estrangement not only to be understood as a concept but also to be felt viscerally. Apart from the multiple layers of references to different figures from family members, friends, and the self, the references to the senility, social psychosis, and at the same time infantility of Western dominators and aggressors especially, is an attempt to make sense of the violent grasping amongst the powerful for all that seems to be left, a naked, putrescent life. While my thematic concerns have varied, my underlying interests emerge out of the need for interrogating the condition of middle classness, the social absurdities of life under the capital relation, and the ideological mediations that pervade everyday life at the levels of the personal, familial, and social. I extend my interests in engaging with the social foundations and shapes of human relationships, politics, history, the rhythms of affection and disaffection in my video installations, such as this one titled We Freed Our Fingers to Count. The video being projected in the cupboards is a compilation of my family members counting with their fingers. My grandfather had Alzheimer's, and we would often make him count on his fingers as a way to bring him back to his senses. The numbers being counted are also displayed inside a vessel, which is a family heirloom that was carried by my grandfather from Pakistan to India during partition. The other objects displayed in the cupboards are symbols of wealth accumulation of a middle-class familial unit, inheritance, mundane life. The text playing along with the video, however, is from a script in which a father is explaining to his daughter the virtues of private property and capitalist economic systems, presenting them not as historically constructed but rather as being immanent to the human condition. The assertion of the father presented in text form in the video installation is broken by my grandfather's voice in the background, as he counts on his fingers to feel tethered to reality, failing to keep count and starting over and over again.
19
90 29 के बाद
20 बोल दिया.
The contradictory interests in my works are the need to interrogate the everyday on the one hand, while also trying to find some redemption in it. A lot of my work is a recombination of found material, which organizes itself in a series of contradictions, a humorous set of events, or ironies that do not necessarily resolve into larger wholes. The video essay, on the other hand, titled The Televised Will Not Revolt, is a montage of found footage collected from shows aired by Doordarshan during 1980s and 90s and largely referred to in familial conversations in the drawing room. For example, Bharat Ek Khoj, Chanakya, Mahabharat, Ramayan, etc. It attempts to reveal the ideological mediation of the family's time together and the cultural and discursive universes that are constitutive of Indian ideology today. Different representations of mythical and historical figures still persist, but in the form of affirmations of an imagined community. Politicians often invoke Chanakya in political rallies. The slogan Bharat Mata Ki Jai is now frequently heard in hyper-nationalistic invocations. The image of mythical saffron-clad warmonger Ashwathama now becomes jarring when seen in the light of rising right-wing Hindutva forces. The attempt, apart from invoking the persistence of 20th century media in contemporary Indian urban, primarily middle-class society, was also to draw parallels between mythological lore on the one hand and the myth of national unity, national progress on the other.
पाटलिपुत्र सो रहा है।
Many thanks to all these wonderful artists for sharing their work with us. I'd like to invite all of them back here and open the floor to any questions the member of the audience may have. Please come. If anybody has questions or comments, please. Shall we move to giving them their awards? Amita, may I request you to do the honors? So, Akharta. Just a round of applause. Visviji. Ritika. Swapna. Manchika. Thank you, Amita. You can have a seat here. So, technology and traffic haven't given us company today, but I'm very glad that you all are still here. So, thank you. It would be incomplete to end the evening without sharing how it comes to be. Anything that we do, we cannot and do not do alone. I stand here representing the team that makes this evening come alive and the preparation for which starts many months prior, involving such meticulous details that it wouldn't be possible doing this without them. A big thank you to Gladys Colasso, Anahita Ichaporia, Janita Quadros, Dipti Parekh, and Raj Valmiki. While it may seem like we're a small team, the real team, rather the hands and legs of the foundation, remain its growing alumni and an equally large number of well-wishers and committed individuals. In fact, many present in the room here. I can see Mushir. Mushir, thank you so much. The beautiful brochures that you see have been completely designed by Mushir. Tushar, Shaina, Ashwath, Faiz, Jeannie, Anush, Virangana, Sandhya, Anish, and if I'm missing someone, please forgive me, who take time out each year and help us with our selection across our opportunities. We're truly grateful and appreciate their support, which enables us to fulfill the vision of the foundation. Thank you to the IFB team, and last but not the least, thank you to each one of you for having come on a Wednesday evening to one end of the city to support and encourage our young artists. Thank you very much. And I hope you have a good rest of the evening. Thank you.